Hello there, people of the internet. I actually just made a video not that long ago, sort of about this topic, but I definitely want to dive deeper into it. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. I have a couple of different handguns out here. I have a 1911. This particular one is a Rock Island Armory 1911 chambered in 45 ACP. I have an 1872 Colt open top. This right here is chambered in 38 special. And I have a Taurus Spectrum 380. If you like handguns like this, then go check out the rest of the channel because I have done quite a bit of shooting with all of the handguns that I have right here on this table in front of me. So if this is your forte, then subscribe to the channel because you are among the right crowd. That being said, if you want to assist me with getting back out to a gun range to do filming, then I got links to Patreon and Utreon down below, along with some t-shirts. I'm selling some shirts if you want to help support that cause, or you can do a one-time donation through the shirt store. All that being said, this right here is something that I carry on a pretty frequent basis. This is a Taurus Spectrum chambered in 380. A lot of people give me a lot of flack for this thing because it's 380 ACP, which they say is not very powerful, despite the fact it'll send a 100 grain bullet at about 1150 or so feet per second. And that'll give you not quite, but almost double the amount of energy transfer as 22 long rifle. And people tell me 22 long rifle is more than powerful enough to handle whatever job needs done. They also tell me that this is very inaccurate and unreliable, but I have shown regularly me shooting this on my gun channel. You can go watch the videos right now. And I think I took this out to like 40 yards and I was getting very accurate shots, so well exceeding typical defensive encounter distances. I don't think I've had a single malfunction with this handgun in the entire time I have been using it. So now that I got all of that out of the way, Taurus Spectrum 380. I am very adverse with handguns. This right here is a double stack only double action only handgun, and so as a result, it has a very difficult trigger to pull. We'll get back in that here in a second. The 380 ACP is not a particularly powerful cartridge, and it's definitely one that people tend to avoid because they think that it's not a particularly powerful cartridge. I think it's a lot more powerful than a lot of people give it credit for, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a powerhouse of a round. Now, if I was given a situation and I was told a concept, and I was told, hey, you can have any of these three handguns to go handle XYZ situation where you might be in danger, I would take the 1911 because the 1911 is probably going to be my preferred firearm. However, whenever it comes to actual concealed carrying a firearm, I use this right here. Concealed carrying a firearm, you're going to carry your firearm a lot more than you're going to actually be using it, unless you're in Detroit, in which case I recommend that you leave. But you're going to be concealing it and carrying it dramatically more than you're going to be actually using it. So something that is dramatically more capable and more powerful, like a 1911 and 45 ACP, is not going to serve you very well if you decide to leave it at home. This right here is going to serve you a lot better if you have it on your person whenever said situation goes down. The deadliest gun that you can have is the gun that you actually have on your person whenever a situation goes on. If you have an AR in your truck, but you have nothing on your person and you're at a music festival and something starts going down and you're like, hey, I got to get to my truck to get my AR, but it's 7 minutes in that direction and up 3 stories in some parking garage somewhere, then guess what? That's not going to help you very much. Even though it's a very capable platform, it's just not going to be able to do its job because of its location. The handgun that you have, or the firearm that you have on yourself, is going to be dramatically deadlier than the firearm that you do not have on yourself. Now, all that being said, there is some significant caveat whenever it comes to this. This right here, even if you had this on person, for the average shooter, the trigger on this sucks and they are going to miss. A lot of your defensive encounters, people will just decide, hey, this guy has a gun, he's trying to defend himself, it's not worth my life, I'm going to go ahead and run. But there are a lot of instances where people decide not to run, they decide to stand and fight. And so as a result, you are in for a fight for your life. And it doesn't matter what kind of handgun you have on you, it doesn't matter the caliber, it doesn't, like all of that crap goes out the window whenever you're in a fight for your life. What ends up actually legitimately mattering is making hits on target and meaningful hits in a way that actually immediately stop that target. Just because you hit somebody with this right here does not mean that they're no longer going to be a threat. I mean, there are many police reports and instances of police using a more powerful cartridge, 9mm, and absolutely lighting people up, and those people are still threats long after they've been shot multiple times. Just because someone took one somewhere right here does not mean that they can't still pick up something and pull the trigger while aiming at you. That is absolutely still a threat. So just because you have it on your person, if you cannot accurately shoot it to make hits on target and actually put down that threat and stop it, then suddenly that deadlier gun than the one you have at home is not that deadly. And suddenly you have this very aggressive force coming at you, seeing you as a deadly threat and trying to immediately put you down with whatever deadly threat it is that they have. There's a very fine line between shooting in actual practical instances and shooting in what would you call it, fantasy world. The shooting in real life and the shooting in the shooting on paper, what happens in real life is oftentimes different than what happens on paper, and just because you have it on your person does not mean it's going to be effective. That's one of the main reasons why I advocate so many people to go out and actually train with their defensive handgun so they can see if it's something that they could actually use to defend themselves. If I were to give somebody this right here and put up a pie plate at 5 yards and told them to hit it, and they had no handgun training of any kind, which is what most Americans are dealing with, they wouldn't be able to hit that, especially with that double action trigger. So yeah, just because you have it on person does not necessarily mean it's going to be effective. As a matter of fact, if I had to pick my most effective gun here, well, I'm sure a lot of people would probably say, hey, it's probably the 1911 there. No, not the 1911. Although it's a single action trigger, it's still got about 5.5 pound trigger to it, which is not ideal for me. I would probably say that my 38 Special 1872 open top is my most effective handgun. This is a handgun, 38 Special, not exactly a powerhouse of a cartridge, but not exactly anemic either. And in this particular case, you would have 5 rounds of ammunition in your revolver simply because you need an empty chamber in order to safely carry this thing. And it reloads incredibly slow. So it's a heavy gun, large gun, very little ammo capacity, very slow reload system. But this is a firearm that I know for a fact I can make very accurate shots with. I've taken this out to 100 yards and made regular shots on a steel silhouette that I had out on my gun range. And that has to do with the overwhelmingly nice trigger that is on this thing. If I were to give this to anybody, even with a very limited firearms experience, they would be like overwhelmed at how good this trigger is and how accurate they are. 38 Special, very low recoil. I could teach a lot of people how to shoot incredibly accurate with this thing. But that trigger is probably about a 1 pound trigger. It is overwhelmingly good, and so as a result, I could shoot incredibly well with something like that. Now granted, just because I have been practicing and I know this particular Taurus Spectrum very well, I myself can make very accurate shots with that, which is one of the reasons why I decided to carry this and one of the reasons why I do bet my life on it from time to time. But if you're not me and you do not like double action triggers and you can't accurately shoot them and you're going to rely on a single action trigger, maybe something with a 1911 that has a nice light trigger or a 1872 open top that has a nice light trigger would be more up your alley, because then you could actually make hits on target. I would absolutely 110% take a 22 long rifle that I could actually hit stuff with over something chambered in 45 ACP that I would consistently miss with. So yeah, just because you have it on your person does not always mean it is going to be deadlier than the gun that you have at home. So I think I've said my piece on this one. I'm sure I'm going to get kicked back for this one. Probably going to get some flack. Not a very popular opinion, but Yeah, I promise. Actually, I guarantee it. Go look in the comments below. We're going to have some people go into the comments and tell me, hey, all you need is the scary gun sounds, go rack a shotgun or something like that, and everybody will go off running. Or all you need to do is fire 1 or 2 shots and the people will turn tail and run. And yeah, for the situations where that actually resolves the problem, hey, good on you. You managed to stop the threat, but there are plenty of situations where that does not stop the threat, and those people decide to fight back, and next thing you know, you got yourself a bunch of armed criminals trying to take you down, and that is definitely not ideal. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I will see you guys on the next episode.
Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.